To ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal and the 2019 New York Life ACC Tournament. What a night we've got for you tonight. The second semifinal will feature the Duke Blue Devils with Zion Williamson back with a vengeance as of last night, taking on Luke May and the North Carolina Tar Heels as the Heels try to beat the Blue Devils for the third time in a row. But in the first game, we'll get a look at Florida State. Terrence Mann with a game winner in overtime yesterday against Virginia Tech as they take on the #1 seed of the ACC tournament, Jack Salt's Virginia Cavaliers. A huge game for Salt yesterday, a career-high 18, leading them to a win over NC State. So here's where we are. The top 4 seeds have advanced to the semifinal. We got Virginia, Florida State, and then we've got Duke and Carolina. This is going to be a lot of fun. Hi, everybody. Dan Shulman, Jay Billis. Welcome back to Charlotte. Let's start with the regular season champions, Virginia. 16-2 in league play. Great defensively. Underrated offensively. One of the reasons they're so good offensively, the shooting of Kyle Guy.
Kyle Guy is one of the best shooters in the country. He's the best shooter in the ACC, and he's a three-point savant in large measure because of his shot preparation. If he can catch and shoot, if you give him that much space, he is going to drill it, and he is always moving and never stops. Coming off a little staggered screen, and you've got to chase him and run him off that three-point line because he is turning to shoot as he's catching the ball. And he doesn't just stop off the first screen, getting a screen from Jack Salt, cutting through, and then he's going to come back around again. You have got to stay disciplined and stay on him, and he is on a tear of late. He's shooting 63% from 3 in his last 5 ball games, coming off a 29-point game in which he shot 7 for 9 from 3. Then at Syracuse, even better, 8 of 10 from 3. It's been amazing how well he shot the ball of late.
Now, let's not sleep on Florida State. They never get the hype they deserve. They went to the Elite 8 last year. They're the #4 seed of the ACC tournament. They may not have as many stars as some of the other top teams. They're hoping to wear you down with their depth.
Yeah, Florida State's only got 2 guys that average double figures in scoring, but they've got 11 guys that play with regularity. They are long, they are athletic, they've got great size, and they keep coming. It's like a line change in hockey when they come into the ball game. So they're going to have a fresh body on you all the time, and they're going to have length and athleticism on Kyle Guy and Ty Jerome. Try to bother them when they're getting open looks.
Always love a good hockey reference. This is going to be a great night of basketball. Let's head up to the concourse and to get the thoughts of Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg, and the quarterback up there, Reese Davis.
And Dan, it is going to be a great night. We have 3 of the top 5 teams in the country. We have 4 of the top 12. Do you realize we haven't had 4 of the top 12 in the AP poll, even in a Final Four, since 2009? And here we have it in the ACC semifinals. This is a litmus test type of semifinal night.
You've got 4 teams that are capable of getting to the Final Four, but 4 very different teams. Duke beats you with brute force. Virginia with precision. Florida State, quite honestly, with their length and their depth. And then North Carolina with their speed. 4 different teams, but 4 that can get to the same destination.
Yeah, obviously there's a ton of hype around a Duke North Carolina game, deservingly so, but this is the best underrated matchup I think there is in the country. Florida State is a team that obviously they went to the Elite 8 last year, and UVA is a team that can win a national championship. It's always good to see how they will handle going against teams that are tall, long, and extremely athletic, and that's who Florida State is.
Ty Jerome didn't have a great shooting day, but he created for his teammates yesterday. They epitomize unselfish play. DeAndre Hunter might be their best all-around player.
DeAndre Hunter, I think, is a lottery pick. Kyle Guy is very quick with his release, and Ty Jerome just has the vision, and a guy Jack Salt does all the dirty work.
Jack Salt is the best screener in college basketball. I'm not sure he'll be able to finish over the length of Florida State, but he's going to get Kyle Guy and those dudes pretty open on those pin downs.
Big Jack got a season's worth of points for him yesterday with 18 big ones. He was terrific. Virginia and Florida State ready to roll, Dan.
All right, Reese, thank you. They met once during the regular season way back in early January. Virginia won by 13, but they were up 29 with 3 minutes to go before Florida State closed well. The Seminoles were a bit banged up, had some guys playing through injuries, but it's so long ago, it's almost like a clean slate. With the #1 seed, the Cavs, and the #4 seed, the Seminoles, who, as mentioned, have depth, have length, have athleticism, and have their head coach, Leonard Hamilton, standing by with Allison Williams.
Coach Hamilton, you went and spoke to each one of your starters individually before they were introduced. What did you tell them?
I just told them that we're going to try to keep it fresh. We have to play extremely hard. They have to help me out a little bit so that if I don't get them out quick enough to keep them fresh, They're going to raise their hand and let me know.
How key is the bench in this game?
Very key. Because if you don't keep effort up against a team that executes as well as them, something bad can happen.
Leonard, thank you.
Something bad can happen. Leonard Hamilton's bench gets 33 points per game. This is a formidable opponent. As the guys upstairs were talking about, they're long and athletic and deep, all the things we've talked about. But Virginia, Jay, including the ACC tournament, is 37-3 in ACC games over the last 2 years. It's nuts.
Just incredible. They've been consistent at the highest level, and they keep coming at you. And they're going to have to keep coming at Florida State to get a win in the semifinals. How'd you like to throw this ball up?
Way up. And it's won by 7'4" Chris Kumaji, a part of the starting lineup for Florida State, brought to you by Old Navy. This is an experienced group. Kumaji at 7'4" in the middle. Terrence Mann made the game-winning shot in overtime yesterday. Their leading scorer, Beyondu Kabengele, actually comes off the bench. Didn't start a game all year as Kofor knocks down a three.
And he knocked it down over the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, DeAndre Hunter.
A three-guard look for Virginia. Freshman Kihei Clark out there along with a couple of juniors, Ty Jerome and Kyle Guy. Jerome's second-team All-ACC. Guy and Hunter, both first-team All-ACC. And Hunter reverses it up and in.
Boy, what a move by DeAndre Hunter down low. MJ Walker guarding Kyle Guy, and Guy on the other end taking Walker. Boy, Virginia looks awfully small with Kihei Clark guarding. He's going to have to get up underneath Trent Forrest, who is an excellent passer and a very good decision maker for Florida State.
Kumaji, a running hook pass into the corner. Shot clock down to 5. Contested shot by Kofor won't go, and Kumaji over the back for a foul.
That's the physicality of Jack Salt, getting a body on Kumaji, making him go over the top. But a really good defensive possession by Virginia, playing that pack line defense. They can recover out to shooters, but they do a great job. Once the ball is passed, they're going to get into a gap and protect the elbows and the block, make it really difficult for you to get to the basket. Oftentimes when the ball goes inside, they'll double team right away to get it out of there.
Virginia second in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency, also second in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. That's points per possession based on the quality of your opponent as well. Over the top to Kumaji, and how do you defend that?
You can just throw it right up, and Kumaji's so good at going over the rim to get it. Kumaji does a very good job of setting screens, rolling to the basket. Both he and Kabengele do a terrific job of that. They can play 4-round-1, and you've got to pick up that roll. Terrific job getting an open shot, but Jerome still not slumping, but I mean, he was 0 for 6 from 3 against NC State.
And Kyle Guy had the hot hand yesterday, tipped away by Salt into the backcourt, and then he retreats to guard Kumaji.
Salt does a very good job of hard hedging on ball screens, moves his feet very well.
Kumaji tries to swing it to the corner, and it's picked off by Guy.
What about DeAndre Hunter getting over to pick up that rotation? That was excellent, and that forced that turnover. That's a great example of what an outstanding defensive team that Virginia is. They are a great team defensive team.
Open is Hunter. Shot fake, steps inside the line and knocks down a 2.
That's big time. He wouldn't have done that a year ago. But earlier this year, he just took his foot off the brake, put his foot on the gas, and has become one of the best players in the country. And if he were to come out, he's a lottery pick in the NBA, DeAndre Hunter.
And as Virginia fans will well remember, he was hurt last year when they lost to 16-seed UMBC in this building. Maybe put that memory a little bit further behind him with a win in this building yesterday.
Now on the slip screen, watch DeAndre Hunter comes over and stops Kumaji, and then a great rotation by Kyle Guy to steal that ball. And then he comes down on the other end, knocks down that shot.
Change in the starting lineup midway through the season for the Hoos as Kihei Clark went in there, a freshman, good on-ball defender. Boy, they play the pick-and-roll game as well as anybody in the country, and Jack Salt staying hot.
Just an open corner, 2 on a side, basically playing a 2-man game. And because Jack Salt is such a good screener, when he rolls hard to the basket, you got to make a decision. You got to worry about Kyle Guy Kumaji is worried about Guy coming off. Is he going to shoot it? Because Walker got picked off by that big body of Jack Salt. And then Kumaji can't stop him as he goes hard to the basket. And that equals the point total of Jack Salt the last time these two teams played. But you mentioned he had 18 against NC State,
which is 18 more than he had in his previous 5 games combined. The bench was going nuts for him. Meanwhile, Virginia's got a bit of a Kumaji problem right now as he's gotten free for a couple of dunks.
Well, they weren't able, Virginia that time wasn't able to pick up the hard roll of Kumaji. When he sets that screen, rolls hard to the basket, you got to pick him up, and that means somebody's going to be open on the perimeter. And that roll replace action that they like to run.
Braxton Keys coming to the game for Ty Jerome. Off balance shot by Guy. Rebound Kumaji, and back comes Florida State.
That's an example of what a terrific defensive team that Florida State is. And how about Braxton Key taking the charge there, moving his feet.
1-point lead, Seminoles early going here in semifinal number 1.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by New York Life. We know that life doesn't fit into any one plan, so start a plan that flexes with yours. And the Invitation to Lexus sales event, now through March 31st.
This team maintains their poise. It seems as though they get more locked in the more intense the game becomes.
Time for the Knoll. Now man, yes! With 1.8 to go.
Calm is contagious, and it starts with Coach Bennett. We never really worry. We know that what we need to take care of, and in the second half it was just buckling down on defense and making open shots.
Calm is contagious, Kyle Guy says, and he attributes that to Tony Bennett, who's a pretty calm guy. But they're a group that you can see they enjoy playing together. They play as a unit. And we talked to Leonard Hamilton about Virginia before the game, and he said, quote, their execution is beyond excellent. If you take something away, they just move on to the next thing. They never panic.
What's an excellent shooting team. They've got 5 guys who shoot 40% or better from 3. Screen, re-screen action.
Mamadi Diakite into the game now for Virginia. Jerome's back as well. Hunter. Tipped up and in by Key.
He had 20 points the first time these two teams played, and Braxton Key is the leading rebounder for this Virginia team, even though he's not the biggest guy out there.
Allison Williams was near the Virginia huddle during the timeout. Allison?
Yeah, point of emphasis, obviously, Chris Kumaji here, their defense against him. And they said the key is to be better on the ball screens, to be better holding up the roller, and to get more ball pressure because those passes are coming into him at the basket way too easy.
Well, Salt's gone to the bench, so now it's up to Diakite to try to defend him. Diakite 6'9", 230, and it looks tiny out there next to Kumaji.
Well, Nichols is doing a nice job on Kyle Guy to be there. Good pass, but he got to finish that. Don't get many point-blank opportunities at the basket.
David Nichols, the senior from Chicago, a transfer from Albany.
Really good shooter.
Kofor. And the assist to Mann with a nice cross-court look.
Well, usually Virginia is pretty good at getting out to that because they move on the flight of the ball. Tony Bennett calls it airtime. That they don't want to move once the pass has been made. They're moving on the flight of the pass.
Florida State off to a scorching start, 5 for 6 from the perimeter. Diakite stepped back to take that jumper and missed it.
Not sure that's the shot Virginia wanted. What a catch by Kumaji.
I'm not sure
that was for him. I thought it was for Kofor.
Kofor and Mann are joking about it right now.
That's why when you throw a pass that high, only Kumaji can get it.
And the 7'4", 268-pound senior from Chad at the free throw line now for the Seminoles. Time now for tonight's Need to Know, brought to you by Principal, and this has become a very familiar story in recent years for Tony Bennett's Cavaliers, among the leaders in the country in just about every significant defensive statistic. I wonder what went wrong.
Rough year in 16.
I know.
Jeez.
Good thing
Second
you had a
in Division
deal.
I. I mean, those schleps wouldn't guard anybody.
Is it and I know you'll say it's a combination of, but is it the system, the coaching, the people he recruits, just sheer will and effort? What makes them such a good defensive team?
Well, no system. A lot of teams play the pack line defense. No system is going to produce these kind of results without great coaching and players that buy in and are completely together. What a beautiful pass. My goodness.
And Diakite tried to slam it down but couldn't.
Pocket pass. They are isolating two on a side.
Kofer rolls on the top of the backboard, comes down, and it's still Florida State ball. Cabangeli's into the game now as Nichols turns it over.
You don't see this very often where a ball goes on top of the backboard, as long as it doesn't go over the backboard. I don't think I've seen it roll there on the rails, go to the other side quite like that. That was pretty cool.
A chance for the guys in the truck to show off one of the above the rim cams that we got here. All kinds of toys for our great crew here in Charlotte. Another great feed. Diakite's off to kind of a rough start in this one.
Yeah, the size of Florida State near the basket has really gotten him a couple times. Had to go up and under the bucket to try to get it off the glass on one, and hesitated there when he should have gone straight up.
So now Tony Bennett will try Jay Huff, who is 7-1 and has a really nice stroke from the outside, as Trent Forrest comes back into the game for Florida State. With Salt, Diakite, Huff, all very different big guys that Tony Bennett can throw out there.
Now they're running both Nichols and Vassell off of screens down low. And really good shot prep right there by Nichols.
And the offensive rebound by Vassell, one of the heroes of last night's win.
Well, Virginia doesn't give up many offensive rebounds. But Florida State right now, they are dominating the glass early on.
Vassell with a tough pull-up over Jerome, and we get a call going against Florida State. It'll be on Cabangeli trying to get the rebound. Another benefit of all the depth, Jay, that Florida State has is it's tough to get their key guys in foul trouble. They can always just bring in somebody else.
Exactly. I'll tell you, Virginia's physical. They're not bothered by a physical game. They can dish it out and take it in a physical ball game.
Florida State with a really nice year, 26-6 on the season, 13-5 in the ACC as Jerome comes up a little bit short, but Braxton Key is there for the putback.
Braxton Key came to set a little screen and then slipped it right to the basket, freed up, tied Jerome, and then gave him inside position. Key to get that offensive rebound.
A foul on a guy to take us to the under 12 media timeout. 3-point lead in the early going for the Seminoles. Welcome back to Charlotte. Some of the great shots from the ACC tournament captured on a Samsung Galaxy S10. And you, my friend, are not by birth, but by where you live right now, you are a Charlottean. Is that the
yes.
proper way to say it?
If you live in or from Charlotte, you are referred to as a Charlottean. I'm referred to quite several other things, but Charlottean is one of them.
But that's the one we can air. And I think all Charlotteans should be very proud of the way things have gone so far as this continues to build towards the championship game tomorrow night. Our director, Doug Holmes, is also a proud Charlottean.
Well, this is not only a great city in which to live, but it's a great city to host events. I mean, football, basketball, baseball, you name it. Man!
Fiondu Cabangeli, the redshirt sophomore from Burlington, Ontario, who might have gotten fouled on the play as well. Kind of a late bloomer, Jay. Did not have much going on in terms of offers coming out of high school, but he has wound up at Florida State, sat out the first year as a redshirt, and he's kind of got budding star written all over him as he continues to get better and better.
He averages 13 points a game. Good rebounder, comes off the bench. He's the sixth man of the year in the ACC. And what a terrific isolation play on the side after out of bounds.
Oh, good hands, Billis, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, I almost got it. But Cabangeli catch and then right to the basket against Huff. Just a quick ISO out of the timeout. And nobody was in help side position to come over and stop that drive.
And this is what you're dealing with if you're Virginia in the middle. When Kumaji, the 7'4" guy, goes out, Kabengele, their leading scorer, comes in. You're always dealing with one of those two guys in the middle.
So far, Virginia has not gotten much offense going. They've turned it over. If it weren't for Braxton Key getting those 2 offensive rebound tip-ins, Virginia doesn't have much at all.
Strong drive, and the finish will extend the Florida State lead. Let's get more on the Seminoles. Here's Allison Williams again.
Well, guys, as you would imagine, Florida State really pleased with their energy, their effort, especially on the defensive end. The message is to keep that up defensively. The weak side help's been really good. They just got to continue to talk and disrupt every pass. Before they broke the huddle with his team seated, Leonard Hamilton stood up and said at the top of his lungs, "Do not let up."
Well, go ahead, Jay.
Especially, Allison, they can't let up on Kyle Guy because basically whoever's been guarding Guy at any given time, whether it's been Walker or Forrest, you name it, Nichols, they're not helping off at all. And they are locking and trailing and right on him when he catches it.
Nichols with a nice look. Forrest is wide open, knocks down the 3. And how about this? It's a 10-point lead for Florida State. Virginia's got to figure some things out here against the Seminoles.
Well, Leonard Hamilton talked to us before the game about the excellent execution, beyond excellent, of Virginia, but Florida State's execution has been excellent in this ball game. Little pick and roll on one side, then they reverse it, and you just lost Forrest. Kyle Guy over helping and couldn't recover. The ball went from one side to the other and then back again.
What about the offensive end for Virginia? They don't get rattled, but they look out of sync right now. What does Florida State doing well to make it hard on the Cavs here?
Well, they are pressuring and forcing Virginia a little bit further out on the floor, and then they're doing a great job of challenging everything at the rim. But when have you seen Kyle Guy able to catch the ball and turn? I mean, he hasn't been able to do it. They've been right on him on the catch, so he's not been able to catch and shoot. And right now Vassell's on him, and he's not really helping out. He's just going to stay right on him.
Salt back into the game for Virginia.
Good pass. Got to be ready to shoot that. That's that roll replace action, and Clark was open when he caught it.
Shot clock's at 2. Jerome has to force it up, and the long rebound down to Guy. A break there for Virginia. See if Hunter could make a play, and he will. 16-footer over Raekwon Gray to bring him back within 8.
What a stud. When that guy goes up mid-range, you might as well count it. Just an excellent shooter that has improved a tremendous amount from last year to this year. He's shooting almost 50% from 3 on the season.
Kabengele put the brakes on, swings it across court, but stepping out of bounds was Vassell.
Now watch Hunter, how straight he goes up when he plants here. Gets it, faces up, gives a little jab, and then goes straight up. I mean, he basically could have shot that in a phone booth. Would you like me to explain to you what a phone booth is for those who are too young to know?
Sit down, kids. Grandpa Jay's going to tell us a story.
A silo. Should I have said a silo? What would be like a phone booth now that you could relate to the young kids?
I have no idea. You can't relate to the young kids with a phone booth. Don't even say rotary phone.
Good pass.
And
my
Salt's
goodness.
got a chance for 3.
Well, anytime you get a drive, that's what great big guys do, is they find the front of the rim. So on that baseline drive, a terrific cut by Jack Salt to find the front of the rim. Well, talk about an offensive rhythm. When was the last time somebody said Jack Salt is in an offensive rhythm?
Had 18 last night, again after 5 consecutive scoreless games, has 4 already tonight. And Tony Bennett, his coach, says Salt is as giving a player as he has ever coached. Never demands a shot, never complains if he doesn't get a shot. He's there to screen, protect the rim, guard, throw his weight around.
Well, he is a
lane violation.
He's a relentless worker. In a lane violation, the non-violating team should get the ball.
Instead of getting one more free throw.
Yeah, because what was affected? The rebound was affected. So by the violation, you were denied an opportunity to get the rebound. Didn't affect the shot.
Salt, as you can see, struggles from the line, 50% on the season. 6-point lead for the Seminoles. Semifinal number 1 here with the ACC tournament in Charlotte, with Carolina and Duke still to come. We'll have round 3 between the Tar Heels and the Blue Devils. And obviously this will be the first time, other than the first 36 seconds of the first game, that Zion Williamson will play against Carolina. And to say it's a heavily anticipated game would be the understatement of the day.
Those guys look like brothers.
You can have that.
What, a family that's divided like that? Impossible.
Cabingelli long on the 3, rebound Jerome, and Virginia creeping back into it. They've got the last 2 buckets, down by 6 right now.
And one thing Virginia's not going to do is worry. They don't get rattled. The last time I saw them rattled was actually in this building, though, against UMBC. They got rattled in that one, but they didn't have this guy.
Yeah, Hunter was out with an injury then. Kick out by Salt. Guy misses a wide open 3.
Not going to have a more wide open shot than that. Usually off an offensive rebound like that, Kyle Guy will absolutely punish you.
Terrence Mann, no.
Not sure that was the shot. Now, Terrence Mann can make that shot, obviously. Averages 11, 12 points a game. But I think you'd rather see Florida State attack the rim.
How about Kihei Clark with a change of speed?
It's almost like clockwork when you take a bad shot. I shouldn't say bad shot, but when you say take a less than ideal shot on one end, that so often you give a layup on the other.
It reminds me of something Leonard Hamilton said to us before the game about Virginia. They lull and then they quick. They lull and then they quick. And that's what Kihei Clark did on that last drive. 4-point lead. Virginia getting closer. Back to the studio. Here's Kevin Connors. Still to come tonight, our second semifinal from Charlotte. You may have heard a little bit about this one. It'll be round 3 between Duke and North Carolina. The Heels winning each of the 2 regular season meetings this year. But of course, over the last 100, what else would they be but 50 wins on each side? The last time North Carolina defeated Duke 3 times in one season was 1975-76. They'll have an opportunity to do that. And of course, Jay, not only is it a rivalry and trying to get to the final and eventually win an ACC tournament championship, but some talk too that maybe a number 1 seed is at stake in this game tonight between Duke and Carolina.
I don't think there's any question about that. Wait, go back to 1975-76. That's when Phil Ford was the point guard for Dean Smith. Another miss from 3, but an offensive rebound. That's 0 of 8 from 3 for Virginia.
Kihei Clark has passed up a couple of open shots, and actually Jerome wound up taking a tougher one than Clark would have had. Hunter, no. Bodies everywhere, and down with it is Forrest.
That's where the size of Florida State affected that shot.
A challenge by Salt on a strong drive by M.J. Walker, and Salt is whistled for the foul.
Florida State looks so much better when they are attacking the rim. And M.J. Walker, a McDonald's All-American, just a little look away, and Jack Salt went up to try to get 2 hands on that ball, and all of a sudden Walker's on his back.
And Salt shaking his head. You could see he got ball up top. He thought maybe he shouldn't have been whistled for a foul. It's a big, strong guy right there. All right, let me ask you. You said you don't think there's any question that tonight's game may determine or will determine who's a 1, who's a 2, that sort of thing. Let's start with Virginia. A lock at number 1 regardless,
Absolute
right?
lock.
Okay, lock for a number 1 seed.
Absolute lock.
And then you got Carolina and Duke. So if Carolina beats them for the 3rd time tonight, you're giving Carolina a 1.
Yes.
Okay. And if Duke wins tonight, how does it sort itself out?
Well, I think if Duke wins and plays well against Virginia, then looks as good as they've looked last night with Zion Williamson back, then I think you can, because look, Duke's played 6 teams that are ranked in the top 5. I mean, that's most in the country. That's as open as Kyle Guy has been all game long. The first time that Florida State, except that offensive rebound, when there was a kick out from Jack Salt on the offensive board, he was wide open. But outside of a scramble situation, that was the first time that Kyle Guy's had a look, and he drilled it.
And it's the first made 3 of the night for Virginia, but Florida State answers right away with M.J. Walker.
Well, Florida State hit 12 threes against Virginia Tech. That was an overtime game, but They are picking up where they left off with the way they're shooting it.
Kind of remarkable. You mentioned overtime games. Florida State is 4-0 in overtime this year. Beat Virginia Tech twice in overtime, and also overtime wins over LSU and Purdue. Those are really good wins over good teams, and all of them coming in overtime.
Ty Jerome on that last drive. He had to launch that thing up. That's a big time move. Wow. Turnaround jumper by Phil Kofer. Man, we are seeing some high level offensive plays.
Last night, Florida State, Leonard Hamilton used 10 players against Virginia Tech. All 10 of them scored, and that's kind of the MO for the Seminoles. Maybe nobody gets 20, but a lot of guys getting between, say, 8 and 12.
Terrence Mann gave Kyle Guy a little bit more space than some of the guys that have been guarding him in the past.
Kumaji, and he runs it down in the corner.
It's 3 straight possessions when there have been Virginia drives. There's either been a chain shot or that last block by Kumaji.
Kofer for 3. Kumaji with a rebound.
Just threw Diakite out of the way.
Now Hunter on him. And Hunter called for the foul, I believe. Or no, did it go? Yes, it was Hunter.
Yeah, it went on Hunter. Now watch Phil Kofer here when he gets the ball down in the low post. Catches it off the post. This is an NBA move. I mean, that's beautiful. A little fadeaway jumper. Big time play. With the kiss.
7th team foul on Virginia, so Kumaji to the line for 1-1 for Florida State. With more, here's Allison.
And as you watch Chris Kumaji, you see him snatch up those rebounds. It's remarkable to think how little basketball he played growing up. He grew up in Chad, didn't begin playing until he moved to Senegal when he was 16. It was there he was spotted and eventually moved to Orlando to play basketball and attend school. But when he came here to Florida State, he was so raw that assistant coaches would actually just play catch with him while the rest of the team was shooting. He grew up playing soccer. He had a ball at his feet, not in his hands, so they would grab tennis balls, footballs, soccer balls, sometimes 2 at a time, and just play catch with him a ton just to get that hand-eye coordination developed. And he has come so far now in his 4 years at Florida State.
He really has. Great stuff, Allison. And obviously, just with his sheer size and length, a force at the defensive end.
He moves his feet so well.
Guy got hit in the corner and will shoot 3 free throws. The foul going on PJ Savoy.
With terrific movement by Kyle Guy. Just a little baseline drive and then what you would call a baseline drift to get down into the corner from Kyle Guy. You can see as DeAndre Hunter drives baseline, Kyle Guy just finds himself in the corner and gets some open space, and he gets that off so quickly.
And they've gone to the monitor. The officials have to see if this was a 2 or a 3-point attempt.
So 3.
Kind of tougher with him because he's wearing 2 different shoes.
Yeah, he's behind it. Yeah, he is wearing 2 different shoes. But all of them are.
Oh, yeah.
They only wore 1 shoe. It'd be hard to play.
Looks like a 3.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely a 3.
And it is. Ryan Dorsey, Bill Covington, Ali Cassell, the officials tonight, so they'll bring him back on the court, and Guy will head to the free throw line. The game is being played at a Virginia pace, which Virginia games always seem to be. Very tough to speed them up. Tony Bennett's got to be happy with the pace, but Leonard Hamilton, that glare notwithstanding, has to be really happy with the effort and the ball movement and the disruption on defense and everything he's seen from his group so far.
Yeah, the defense especially he's got to be pleased with, and I think one has helped the other. I think the defense that Florida State has played has certainly helped their offense.
Jerome, Salt, couple of starters on the bench right now for Virginia. That's why they tell you never to foul a jump shooter, never to foul a guy in the 3. Chances are he's a pretty good free throw shooter.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to foul a jump shooter that makes 46% of his threes and 84% of his free throws. And especially you don't want to let a great shooter see the ball go through the net 3 times.
Forrest off a screen. Clark stays with him.
Just got 2 screeners down on the blocks and had different cutters running off.
Forrest over Clark, not there, and a weak side rebound by Hunter.
What great defense by Virginia. And Hunter is so strong and athletic. Even though Florida State's bigger, it's hard to push him off his spot. Got a switch. The key was open there. They could have lobbed it into him.
He defended by Kofor with 7 on the shot clock. Guy knocks it down.
Boy, Kihei Clark got that ball to him late. Just the rhythm that he has as a cutter. You know, he'll go from slow to fast. Not one speed. It's not like he's going 1,000 miles an hour. Boy, this is a big possession here for Florida State.
Forrest probing, kicks it into the corner. Kofor no, and Kumaji runs down another one. Kumaji's had a really nice half.
He has played hard.
Hand off to Mann. Tipped away, Virginia ball.
Watch Guy behind.
And Clark fouled on a drive.
Kyle Guy was running right behind Kihei Clark. If he didn't take it to the bucket, he would have had Guy for a 3. Big play.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. We can help you plan for that.
The ACC tournament here at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. It has been whittled down from 15 schools to 4. Semifinal night tonight, Florida State and Virginia. The number 4 seed, the Seminoles, have led almost wire to wire. It is a 5-point lead. This is game 1. We've got another one coming. The second semifinal tonight here in Charlotte will be round 3 between the North Carolina Tar Heels, led by their senior and second-team All-ACC performer Luke May, taking on the Duke Blue Devils. Feels like we just had a game between these two just 6 days ago, in fact. Kihei Clark at the line for Virginia. They have slowly but surely whittling their way into this deficit. It's down to 3.
A 1-possession game, even though Virginia 1 of 9 from 3-point range. And Ty Jerome needs to get going for this team. He's not on the floor right now, but before this game's over, he's going to have to be heard from. He's 0 of his last 10 in the last 2 games from 3, 1 of 16 overall. He's done other things really well, but he's got to put some points up for Virginia.
Second foul on Clark. He heads to the bench, and Jerome returns now for the Hoos.
You're not going to find a better passer in this league than Ty Jerome. He's got a great feel, and he's such a competitor.
Coming up on the Audi halftime report, we'll check it again with Reese Davis, Seth Greenberg, Jay Williams. How about the win for Florida today over LSU? Knocked LSU out of any possible consideration for a 1 seed, and just a huge win for the Gators' postseason chances. And a look ahead of the second game tonight between Duke and Carolina.
Full court pressure right now from Florida State. Nichols on Jerome. Nichols did a really good job when he was on Kyle Guy.
Boy, I'll tell you, I don't know if Kumaji yelled out to Nichols that Salt was setting a screen, but Nichols sensed it, heard it, felt it, something. He got out of the way in a hurry. And now Kyle Guy, after those free throws, as you said, he saw the ball go through the net. Now he's hot.
Well, that was a set play. That was an elevator screen. He went right through 2 of his teammates that closed the door on the elevator, and he was able to shoot behind it. They've also got a counter for that where he comes off to the other side. So if Florida State reads it, they can have that counter on the other side.
All of a sudden, a guy with 11 and a tough mid-range jumper for M.J. Walker extends the lead to 4.
Walker's got a ton of talent, man. That guy's good.
Sophomore from Jonesboro, Georgia. He's got 7. Balanced scoring as you would expect for the Seminoles. Jerome, shovel pass, Salt. How about that little 6-foot floater?
Well, Tony Bennett using Jack Salt with ball screens because Koumadji doesn't want to come all the way out there. And so that can really help free up a shooter and a scorer because of his ability to screen. And it's going to pull Koumadji far away from the basket, then you can attack the rim. Well, Kyle Guy got off to a difficult start in this game, largely because of the great defense that was played by Florida State. They would not let him breathe. No airspace right on top of him, forcing him to put the ball on the floor, and then the vertical contest, making him take a tough shot over, and usually a tough two. There on the catch, where he cannot catch and shoot. But then the last couple of possessions, nice little fade screen, catch, shoot. That was really easy. And here, coming off, able to set his feet, and then put the ball on the deck and make the little mid-range jumper. And then the last one he made through that elevator screen was big time. That was a well-designed, well-called play that they run quite often, but that Tony Bennett clearly called out of the last time out.
Guy had scored 11 straight Virginia points before that last bucket by Salt. Guy a career 44% three-point shooter. Virginia down by only 2 now. Nichols up top again to Koumadji, who's got 9 points in the first half.
Leonard Hamilton using Koumadji in the middle of the floor to set that screen. Jack Salt's got to help, and then he rolled right to the basket. Nobody picked him up, and Salt couldn't recover from that far away. And how many guys can you throw it up that high to and go get it? Even if you recover, you're not going to be able to stop that.
Hunter, no, and a good block out there by Kofor on Salt.
That was big time. That was a beautiful block out. Stayed low and just rooted out Jack Salt.
And Florida State can basically run the clock right down. Game clock and shot clock about dead even.
I'd run the same thing. Let Koumadji come out and set that middle ball screen, sort of a flat screen, and then let Nichols go to work, then roll to the bucket.
There's the screen. There he goes.
And there's the replacement. He's wide open.
And they don't get the shot off in time. Walker either didn't see Koumadji or couldn't get the pass to him, and they don't get a look. And Virginia's actually going to get the ball back with 0.4 of a second left.
You don't get the excuse of not being able to see the 7'4" guy. Clearly you were a guard.
Looks like they just want to verify the clock situation. Everybody's happy with it.
Coach, I couldn't see him.
You don't want to say that to Koumadji's face, that's for sure. Salt, I think it would have counted, but that'll bring the first half to a close. Florida State leading by as many as 10, but Virginia has whittled it down to 4 at halftime here for the first semifinal at the ACC tournament in Charlotte. Good first half, 2 good teams. And Florida State trying to advance to the championship with what would be considered a bit of an upset. Leonard Hamilton is with Allison Williams.
Coach Hamilton, what was the difference defensively, especially on Kyle Guy, early in the half versus later in the half?
Well, he's just a very good player. You're just not going to hold a guy like that down for so long. He moving well without the ball, and we just couldn't. We got there and we contested, fouled him a couple of times. He's really, really good. And you're not going to keep a guy from ever catching the ball in a good team. They're the #1 ranked team in the country, and he's the best player on that team. Our guys are working hard. We're just going to try to limit him the best we can.
What will be the key for you guys in the second half?
We just got to continue to keep playing hard and playing unselfish. Our kids are really giving a tremendous effort, but this is a really, really good basketball team, and every time you let up 1 second, they're going to make you pay.
Thanks, Leonard.
4-point lead for Coach Hamilton's Seminoles. That's 45 points per game strolling into the building between those two. Duke and Carolina still to come in the second semifinal tonight. But first, time for the halftime report here. Let's send it to Reese, Seth, and Jay.
All right, Dan, the Audi halftime report is open for business. It's a big night here in the ACC for sure, but we've got plenty of other conference tournament action going on as we get ready.
ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal, and the 2019 New York Life ACC Tournament. Well, Chris Kumaji had himself a huge first half. 9 points, 7 rebounds. Helped Florida State get out to as much as a 10-point lead. But then Kyle Guy heated up. Cold early, heated up late. He's got a game-high 11. He's knocked down a couple of threes. And Virginia, while definitely not clicking on all cylinders, got a 10-point deficit down to 4 heading to the second half here in semifinal number 1 with Duke and Carolina still to come. Hi again, everybody. Dan Shulman and Jay Billis. Welcome back to Charlotte. All things being considered, it could have been a lot worse for Virginia.
It could have been worse, but I think Virginia can tighten up its defense a little bit. And you mentioned it. Kumaji was the one that really hurt him, and he hurt him by setting really hard screens and rolling to the basket. And the rotations were not great for Virginia. I think they can do a much better job. And then Ty Jerome's got to get untracked for them. They've got to find a way to get him some points because he has not shot the ball well the last couple of games. I think he's a combined 1 for 16 and 0 for 10 from three-point range.
And does not have a point in this game tonight. Let's get more from Allison Williams.
Tony Bennett said that Florida State's length and physicality was really disruptive for his offense, especially early in the game. He said they also did a good job of forcing them to start their offense really far out. And when they were able to get it inside, Virginia just missed some bunnies. So he said we have to do a good job of just continuing to move the ball and get open looks. And when we do, we have to capitalize.
Jerome got a switch, has Kumaji on him. Thank you, Allison. Into Salt and an early foul on Kumaji here to open up the second half.
Well, after the screen by Salt, Kumaji switched off on Jerome. A little surprising that he would do that because that left Salt wide open underneath, and Kumaji probably doing the right thing in fouling Salt, who's not a very good free throw shooter. Make him earn it instead of giving him the easy shot around the rim.
You can see the highly unusual form for Salt, who knocks it down. Missed 2 in the first half. Not square to the bucket at all. Right foot well behind the left. Kind of on a 45-degree angle and more of a shot put than a shooting stroke really from the line. You know what? 2 for 2 works.
Hey, whatever keeps his elbow underneath the ball, and he's enjoying that.
And you know what? Here they are in a conference tournament semifinal game. And Hunter and Salt have a giggle about it, getting back on defense. That's kind of who they are. They have fun. Kumaji slips the screen.
And Hunter did a good job of giving help on that roll and still recovering to his man, Phil Kofer.
Speaking of recovering, Hunter came down and blocked the shot.
Well, that's why he's the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. You know, he doesn't have a ton of blocks, doesn't have a ton of steals, but he makes the right play so often, and he can guard anybody on the floor. He can guard 1 through 5.
Again, the switch. Jerome fires a pass into the corner to Clark, a little bit strong on the 3, and it's Florida State ball.
At least Kihei Clark didn't hesitate when he had that shot.
MJ Walker, no hesitation, but he misses the runner, and Salt holds off Kumaji for the rebound. Little pressure here in the backcourt. Jerome gets out of it. And they don't get it over in time. A 10-second violation. Remember in the old days, not that far back, officials used to count. They would pump their hand every second. Now it's pretty simple. You just look up, and if the shot clock says 20, that's a violation. Good pressure there by the Seminoles.
Forrest able to look over the top of Kihei Clark.
Walker, tough step back jumper.
Wow.
Man.
And that was well defended. Ty Jerome switched off with Kyle Guy. He was right there. Here's the full court pressure, this time easily broken. Trent Forrest guarding Kyle Guy.
Hunter driving on Kofer. Pull up in the paint, short. And it belongs to the Seminoles. Here comes Forrest. Salt got knocked down, but Virginia recovers.
Yeah, they're really hard to get numbers in transition against Virginia. They only send 2 guys to the offensive glass, everybody else getting back. DeAndre Hunter did a great job of shading over to pick up the roll man on a little screen roll. And this same play blocks a shot by Trent Forrest at the basket. And Forrest using that off arm to try to shield off the block, but the ACC Defensive Player of the Year wouldn't allow that to happen. Still got the block.
Isn't it amazing how two guys can go up at the same time, and one guy seems to stay up there a little bit longer than the other guy? There's number 3 on Jack Salt. That's going to force him to the bench.
Well, he got it instead of just pinning his guy to the sideline. He tried to keep him from going all the way out. Wound up picking up the foul.
A good hedge there by Diakite. He recovers.
He's got a switch.
Three-pointer by Kofer is good, and the lead is back up to 7.
Well, Kyle Guy had to switch off on Kofer, and Kofer could see over the top and then shoot over the top. And this pressure full court was a good idea. It's not really pressure to speed the game. It's more to slow the advance.
And Diakite, who struggled in limited minutes in the first half, has his first points of the night.
Just a beautiful pass. I thought Diakite might have slid that foot a little bit when he caught it. And watch his feet here. Just a beautiful pass. Yeah, he traveled. Yeah, that should have been called. What a beautiful pocket pass, threading the needle. And really the first time that Diakite has finished around the goal.
And Jay, the foul is the 3rd on Kumaji, so he sits down as Fiondu Kabengele checks back into the game for the Seminoles. So they lose the 7-4 presence and shot blocking ability of Kumaji. They bring in a better offensive player in Fiondu Kabengele.
Florida State spreading the floor right now, trying to give themselves some driving lanes. What a play by Ty Jerome. That's big time.
Took it away, kept it in bounds. Guy feeds a wide open Clark.
As well as Florida State is playing, and the Seminoles are playing very well, especially on the defensive end. And Virginia just will not let up and will not go away. You can't keep them down. Now, there are certain teams that have the heart of a champion, and that's what this team has, this Virginia team.
Trent Forrest with an off-balance leaner to make it a 3-point game. This is the 4th time in 6 years that Virginia's come into the ACC tournament as the #1 seed. In the last 6 years in ACC regular season games, they're 89-19. Diakite almost turned it over. Baseline jumper, Hunter.
You put your hand down, he's just going to shoot it. Anytime he looks down, you're thinking drive, and then he can pull up and shoot it. And Phil Kofer was right there, just didn't keep a hand up to try to discourage that shot.
And Virginia fans getting noisier and noisier right now here in Charlotte. A touch for Kabengele. And the foul, I believe, will be before the shot. Florida State wants the bucket. They're not going to get it.
Well, Ty Jerome has not had a great game from an offensive perspective, but this was a fabulous defensive play to strip Terrence Mann, get the ball out, and then that led to an open 3 in the corner where Kihei Clark could measure that, and Virginia was back within 1.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. We can help you plan for that.
The steal, and here he goes.
That knee looked just fine there.
Wow, everything is going.
Who is going to stop this?
Quite a return from injury for Zion Williamson last night. Did not miss a shot from the field, 13 for 13, and in fact, going back to before the injury, has made his last 19 consecutive field goals. That is one shy of the all-time ACC record set by another Duke player, Ala Abdelnaby, way back in 1989. Duke and Carolina still to come in the second semifinal tonight. Cabangeli, good defense by Diakite. Kofor.
A terrific job by Mamadi Diakite. Guarded the post, then Florida State reposted, and he wouldn't let Cabangeli have anything.
Decent look from the corner by Guy, but Nichols couldn't save it before it went out of bounds, and it still belongs to Virginia. As we check in with Allison.
Dan, you mentioned Carolina and Duke coming up after this. Those are two programs that seem to always get a team's best effort because of the success they've had. That's what Virginia has experienced this year. Tony Bennett said we kind of feel like Carolina and Duke does. Every team we play every night brings it 100%. For his team, though, this year, they've been in the close games. They've been in battles late. He said we just have to withstand it and be steady, and then it becomes a battle of wills. That's what Florida State was also prepared for. In the last time out, the message was, we told you it's going to be a 40-minute fight. Just keep fighting a battle of wills as we go on.
And that battle of wills is possession by possession, Allison. That's exactly right. And what a play by Kihei Clark, taking the charge on Nichols. He established legal guarding position and maintained it. He is quite a defender because he can get up underneath you. His pressure on the ball, excellent.
Listed perhaps generously at 5'9". The freshman has become a really important part of this Virginia rotation. Hunter. And wow. Virginia's got its first lead since it was 8-7.
Devin Vassell was guarding DeAndre Hunter. What a mismatch that turned out to be. How does Virginia have the lead? And Florida State shooting over 50%. And yet they're trailing.
A tough shot from the free throw line by Nichols. Florida State has made 5 or 6 really tough contested jump shots tonight.
Well, they are really trying to spread out Virginia and really spread out that pack of the pack line defense and force Virginia to guard in space one-on-one.
Kofor on Hunter right now. A better matchup, you would think, for Florida State, given the size that Kofor has.
Terrence Mann on Kyle Guy, not helping at all.
Boy, Diakite just kind of screened off a couple of defenders, and it got Clark free for a jumper.
Now, Clark has been much more aggressive. Remember, he hesitated a couple times in the first half on shots that he had, maybe in part because Florida State is so long and athletic, but he is looking to score now because this Florida State defense really trying to take away Kyle Guy.
Kofor misses the three.
Oh, what a rebound.
Cabangeli with a follow.
He went right over the top of Mamadi Diakite. And it wasn't like Diakite wasn't going for the ball. That was a big-time rebound.
And it's a great no call, too. Over the top does not mean over the back. That was a clean rebound by Cabangeli.
Yandu Cabangeli only averages about 6 rebounds per game, but that was worth 2.
Little flex on the way back. Again, their leading scorer despite not starting a game all season. The ACC's 6th man of the year.
I always thought that 6-man thing was kind of crazy. I was a 5th man. No awards for us.
You were
never
voted,
an award for us.
You were voted the league's top 5th man of the year.
Stunk.
Cabangeli showing he's got range as well.
He is a good player. Doesn't matter whether he starts, comes off the bench.
And just like that, Florida State on top by 4 after a couple of buckets from Cabangeli.
A really good answer by Florida State. A guy with those one-handed passes. He's so good whipping that ball cross court.
Hunter, and a block is called.
Wonder if it'll be on the floor going up.
And it'll be on Cabangeli.
Well, a good job by Cabangeli. A little essentially pick and pop. And just spaces to the three-point line.
Number 3 on Cabangeli, so each of the big guys has 3. And Leonard Hamilton can always make a substitution with the depth they've got. So back comes Kumaji.
David Nichols guarding Kyle Guy, and he's done a really good job when he's been on him of sticking with him, not helping off, and making sure he's there on the catch.
Jerome off a screen, looking for his first bucket of the night, and he's got it.
Doesn't matter what he's been shooting. Every shot is a new entity for Ty Jerome. You shoot to get hot, you shoot to stay hot.
Well, Florida State just called a timeout. It was M.J. Walker. Leonard Hamilton didn't look like he wanted it, but they call a timeout after this Jerome three that has brought the Cavs back within a single point.
Wax on, wax off. One shoe is this and one is that. Oh, yeah.
Your outfit is beautiful.
Yeah. I can't leave my boys hanging.
We love Champ Week, and tonight after the Duke-Carolina game, it's the semifinals of the Pac-12 tournament presented by New York Life. Live from Las Vegas, Colorado is playing Washington now. Here on ESPN tonight, you can see Oregon and Arizona State. The second semifinal out in Vegas. Kumaji with a rebound, surrounded and kicks it back out.
Boy, Florida State had a really good possession, did everything right, and DeAndre Hunter wiped it away, but now they get another chance after the Kumaji offensive rebound.
Raekwon Gray, redshirt freshman from Fort Lauderdale, big guy, 6'8", 260. Now the pull-up by Nichols is there. Another kind of off the dribble, tough contested two.
That was a difficult shot. And he got a switch, had DeAndre Hunter on him. Hunter shot right over the outstretched arm of Hunter.
Yeah, good help there by Nichols. He got over in a hurry, didn't let Guy get the shot off. And a travel is called on Braxton Key. Media timeout here. Florida State leading Virginia by 3 in the first semifinal, and you know what's coming next. Semifinal number 2, round 3. The Heels and the Blue Devils. Wow, all kinds of good games going on here in Champ Week. We got a close one here between Florida State and Virginia. The Seminoles, who have led most of the night, with a 3-point lead right now, trying to advance to tomorrow night's ACC tournament final. Leonard Hamilton's Seminoles have been to the championship game twice under his watch, and they won it back in 2012. Virginia has won 3 ACC tournament championships, including 2 under Tony Bennett. As we check in again with Allison Williams.
Dan, it's been interesting in the last 2 timeouts. First when I was in Florida State's huddle, second Virginia's, and a really similar message for both. For Florida State, telling their guys, don't panic, just keep running your stuff, make sure we're making smart passes. For Virginia, really similar, telling them to continue to run their offense, relax, take it one play at a time.
All right, Allison, thank you. How about Ty Jerome kind of tiptoeing his way to make sure, Jay, that he didn't step into the backcourt on that play?
It's funny. He doesn't get pushed around.
No. A highly competitive young man. Guy misses the 3, and good job running it down by Braxton Key. Jerome over the top. Hunter, and a foul.
Boy, that last offensive possession for Florida State. Florida State did a really good job. They got a triangle on one side to try to get it inside to Kumaji. Didn't do it. Then got it up top, and Nichols did a great job of turning the corner with Kyle Guy guarding him. Got all the way to the bucket. There was no weak side help, nothing, because everybody was occupied because the ball was in the middle of the floor. But both teams executing at a high level in this second half. Each team shooting well over 50% in this half. And Florida State over 50% for the game, shooting about 54% for the game. Really remarkable against this Virginia defense.
Virginia allows opponents on the year to shoot just 37%.
Well, they've been spread out in this one. And Florida State, to the Seminoles' credit, they have hit some difficult challenge shots. Look how they're keeping the floor spread. Forcing switches.
And look at the Virginia defensive numbers on the season, and then how well, as Jay was saying, Florida State has executed against them. And how about the 6'1" David Nichols getting down there in the post to score?
Well, he had Kihei Clark on him, just backed him down. Got one-on-one essentially. Braxton Key just walked. He pivoted 3 times. Nobody called it.
Gray with a steal and a finish. Big fella extending the lead to 8. Boy, pretty impressive response here by Florida State in the last couple of minutes.
And they've done it with defense. And Florida State is just out executing Virginia right now. And Kyle Guy showing a little frustration, trying to go on his own. There was nowhere to go.
And right into the chest of Kumaji, who stood his ground. And the net is caught up in the rim, so Brian Dorsey blows the whistle.
Well, terrific job here taking the ball right away from Kyle Guy, and Gray gets the finish. Boy, he's so big and strong.
Redshirt freshman who's down around 40 pounds since he showed up on campus summer before this past one. And again, Florida State, they just come at you with wave after wave of bodies and size and length. Kofer and Hunter fouls him.
He's had 2 hands on him more than anything. He was in good position, but anytime you get 2 hands on the ball handler, it's an automatic call.
4th team foul committed by Virginia. The Cavs typically a very low fouling team.
Little flex action. Baseline screen, then screen for the screener along the lane line. Pretty well defended.
Boy, not a whole lot of room in there, but Forrest found just enough to draw a foul.
They're just attacking Kihei Clark. Whoever's being guarded by Clark, they're just playing bully ball and going right after him. And you wonder if at some point Tony Bennett's going to go with a little bit bigger lineup.
In the first half of the year, Diakite was a starter. It was Salt, Diakite, Hunter, and then Jerome and a guy. But Tony Bennett midway through the season pivoted to a smaller lineup and put Clark in there as a starter.
Well, the funny part is right now for Florida State, it may not look it, but this is Leonard Hamilton's small lineup.
Yeah, you're right. No Kumaji and no Kabengele, and they still got a couple of 6'8" guys on the floor.
Exactly. They're just bigger than the guards for Virginia.
Man really pressuring Jerome and finally called for the foul. Number 3 on Terrence Mann, who's been a terrific all-round player for Florida State over his 4 years in Tallahassee. Originally from Lowell, Mass.
Now, there's still plenty of time in this game, but even though it's 8 minutes to go in regulation, it's not as many possessions as you might think in a normal game because Virginia is not a high possession team. Good drive.
Good look from the corner, won't go down for Key.
You are not going to get a more wide open shot than that. And now Florida State can use a little bit of clock. Let's see if Nichols going to back him down again. This time the double comes.
Wow, another tough shot hit by Nichols.
Florida State's just targeting Kihei Clark. And I think Tony Bennett's got to do something about it. That's 3-4 possessions in a row. It's been bully ball going at Kihei. And an 11-point lead now for Florida State against the #1 team in the country. And these are not easy shots, although Florida State making it look easy.
And still to come tonight, our second semifinal. The Duke Blue Devils, the North Carolina Tar Heels in round 3.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by New York Life. We know that life doesn't fit into any one plan, so start a plan that flexes with yours.
Sports Center tonight after Oregon and Arizona State with John Abuchagras and Zubin Mehenti. A recap of the Duke-Carolina game that's still to come tonight here on ESPN. All kinds of Western Conference contenders in action in the NBA. And Andy North previews moving day at the Players' Championship. Sports Center on ESPN and the ESPN app. Florida State suddenly out to an 11-point lead. What does Virginia need to do to get back into this game, Jim?
Well, they need to get some stops. But first, they need to run good offense, get a score, see the ball go through the net, then set their defense. But they also need to figure out how they're going to deal with David Nichols, who has just taken Kihei Clark down into the post. Nichols has 14 points. He's 6 of 7. Another bad offensive possession. Ty Jerome looking for the foul. Nichols still being guarded by Kihei Clark. I say they go back to him. I mean, who thought that Virginia was going to have to double David Nichols in the post?
Hofer driving, tipped away by Jerome, but laid up and in by Gray. Largest lead of the night for the Seminoles.
Virginia's starting to feel like a little bit of desperation time. I know this team doesn't get rattled very often, but they're running out of time here. Good pass.
Reverse won't go for Clark.
Clark just looks so small out there.
Virginia has lost only 2 games all season, both of them to Duke. They are 29-2 on the year and seemingly a lock for a 1 seed. But Florida State, which quietly has had a very good season, trying to pull off a big win and get into the ACC final.
Nichols going to isolate Clark again.
Not this time.
And this small lineup has been really effective because Florida State can spread the floor. It's not clogged up by having a big guy in the middle.
Jerome, a step on Walker to lay it in.
Boy, nobody there to come over from the weak side. That was a drive from 30 feet out. But from Florida State's perspective, at least they only gave up a 2.
Tipped away by Jerome, and Virginia's got it.
Oh, what a bad pass.
And a good play by Nichols to come up with the steal.
Just late on the idea to throw it in.
They tried to trap him, but he gets out of it. And Florida State's not going to force anything with just over 5 minutes to go and an 11-point lead.
No, the clock is their friend right now. They can, but it's been one-on-one. They are just isolating Virginia and taking them one-on-one.
Walker over Guy, not there, and it's Virginia ball with 4:47 to go.
Jay Huff into the ball game right now for Virginia. That provides a 7-footer who can make a 3. Shoots over 50% from 3.
As Salt sits down, Cabangeli back in for Florida State, and Terrence Mann is coming in as well. So it'll be as Nichols goes to the bench, and what great minutes Nichols gave the Seminoles tonight.
And Nichols has had a great game.
He's got a team high 14 right now. Last night it was Devin Vassell who had a team high 14 in their win over Virginia Tech. Huff, a step on Cabangeli, who recovers with a block.
What a block.
Maybe the defensive play of the game. As we take a look at our versatile performance brought to you by Dove.
Fiondu Cabangeli goes right up with that left hand and pins that ball on the glass. Huff had a lane to the basket. And Cabangeli just erased it. What a beautiful block and a bucket-saving play.
Forrest. Kofer, still plenty of time on the shot clock. And an offensive foul on Forrest.
I don't know about that one. And good job by Clark to move his feet, but there wasn't enough contact for somebody to fall down there. I mean, come on. Can't believe the officials fall for this stuff. Usually when you fall down, your shoulders don't hit the floor first.
Virginia in desperate need of offense in a hurry. Just over 4 minutes to go, and they're not wired as a team to go down and score in 7 or 8 seconds. It's not the way they run their offense.
Well, there's still plenty of time, but it puts a premium on getting stops. You can't have a lot of empty possessions and give up any scores. Florida State's defended so well.
Hunter makes a tough shot to get it down to 9.
How many contested shots have we seen made in this game? I mean, Florida State has made more of them. And Florida State, at one point, where they were shooting over 50% on contested shots.
Yeah, a lot of times these days you see a game be shots right at the rim and threes and not a whole lot of in between. We've had a lot of in between here tonight.
I think Florida State's doing the right thing by running some clock.
Kabengele draws a double team. Fortunate to get it back. Got to get a shot off. Kofor. Tipped.
Wow.
And they got it again. Kabengele with the tip.
What a big play to keep that ball alive. Now Virginia might have to play defense for another 30 seconds. What a huge play.
Kofor with Clark on it.
What's he waiting for? Go. Good pass.
Forrest will lay it in. What a terrific possession for Florida State.
60 seconds of offense because of that offensive rebound and keeping it alive, and then a great cut by Forrest.
Jerome with a deep, quick three to make it an 8-point game. And a timeout on the floor with 2:15 to go. The winner of this one on to the championship game tomorrow night against the winner of the next one. Still to come here tonight, Duke and Carolina. Leonard Hamilton, with a world of respect for Virginia, said if his team was to win, they would have to play hard and together and good defense and never let up for a moment. And the blueprint for Florida State, when things go well, their depth, as we talked about right off the top of the show, their depth and their balance is their advantage. And that has been the case here tonight.
Well, David Nichols has been the leading scorer for Florida State. He's got 14. Kofor's got 11. Trent Forrest has 10 points. But Terrence Mann hadn't even scored in this game. But you can see the depth and athleticism and length of Florida State has been a huge factor in this game. And then the defense that Florida State has played on Kyle Guy. And Kyle Guy's got 11 points, but he's had no open looks. And I can't think of a point he's scored in the second half.
He's got 11 points on the night, as you mentioned. They were 11 consecutive Virginia points back in the first half. Clark, Guy, and Jerome a combined 9 for 24. How about Florida State shooting 57% against one of the best, if not the best, defensive teams in the country?
1-2-2, three-quarter court pressure, and Kyle Guy could have picked that thing off. And Florida State, really all they need to do is run clock.
Inside 2 minutes. Floater by Forrest. He got it back. Another big offensive rebound. Kabengele tries to slam it down, and he's fouled.
Boy, the offensive glass in the second half for Florida State, especially over the last couple of minutes, has been gigantic. The extra possessions for a team that's shooting 57% on the game, but just quicker to the ball was Trent Forrest on that rebound. Just a terrific play to turn back and go baseline and get it right to Kabengele.
Florida State out rebounding Virginia 30-19 in this game as Kabengele misses the first. With this minute 49, probably seems like it'll take an eternity to Leonard Hamilton right now. This would be a big, big win for the Seminoles. If they pick it up, it would be their 27th on the season. That would tie a program record.
Yeah, 1972 was the last time Florida State's won 27 games when Hugh Durham was coaching. They went to the Final Four.
Jerome follows up his miss, out of bounds, stays with Virginia. And the Florida State players are saying, have a look at it. We're inside the last 2 minutes. They can ask for them to have a look at it to see who touched it last, whether it was Jerome or whether it was the Florida State defender.
Yeah, it looked like it was Kabengele, but Can't really see anything there that would make you change the call. Well, maybe it went off of Jerome last.
Yep.
That angle looked like Jerome.
I think they might overturn this one.
Can't really tell there, but the angle from the backside. I don't think you can tell there either. But the one from the back end looked more like Jerome and that one looks like Jerome.
Yeah.
That's off Jerome. Yeah, it's going to be Florida State ball.
No ruling yet.
Yeah, and the officials are doing exactly what the rule says they should do. They're trying to get it right. This is important. I get it. But, man, this takes too long. And they're not seeing the replays we're seeing. They have a different system called DV Sport.
And it was that last replay that the guys in the truck showed you that seemed to be the most definitive and did suggest that it was off of Jerome.
Well, I'm going to make the call right now. It's Florida State ball.
Gelling touches it, and then Jerome.
Yeah. Jerome's last to touch it on the fingertips there off his right hand. So we have made the call, and we'll now wait for the officials to make the call.
So a little more waiting for the guys in the next game. There, the call is made, and it is going to go Florida State's way.
No, they could have asked us. Could have gotten this done a lot quicker.
What would it take to get you to suit up and be an official for a game?
I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
There's some broadcasters I'd like to throw out of a game.
Hey, McDonough's not. Leave McDonough out of this.
Ooh.
And a turnover. A minute and a half to go.
Got the trap. Can't pick up your dribble there.
Jerome driving, and he makes it a 7-point game.
There was also contact there that wasn't called. Now it's just about passing and catching for Florida State.
Dangerous pass there, and a foul will send Kofor to the line.
Kofor, a 60% free throw shooter. And Ty Jerome taking the ball to the bucket after that turnover. And you can see the contact here. Just the swing. That's a foul, man. Hit him on the arm.
1-1 now for Kofor, a 60% free throw shooter on the season. Virginia fans getting a little noisier. They had, it seemed like, given up hope, but they're starting to get some back now. A force by Jerome, way off.
What was that? Was a foul called? They just called a foul.
I believe you're right. Not on the shot, away from the ball.
They called it on Phil Kofor.
Yep.
Why would he foul there? Wow, that's a gigantic mistake there. I have no idea what Ty Jerome was doing there with that shot. He had 17 seconds left on the shot clock.
Kofor's got his arms around Jay Huff's waist. That's why he got called for the foul. So that'll put Huff at the free throw line. Well, and if you're Florida State, you do not want to stop the clock unless you have to.
Heck no. And that ball was sailing out of bounds.
Big rebound by Forrest.
No time here. You got a foul.
Numbers. Out of bounds, and it belongs to Virginia.
Boy, Florida State is doing everything they can to let Virginia back in this game. And Leonard Hamilton telling his team, calm down. Now the official is going to take another look to see what the play was, but I don't know what the problem is here. Unless they think Huff touched it.
Yeah. Well, he lost it before he even made the pass.
Nobody touched it there. This should be quick and easy.
Wow.
Boy, that was not a smart play by M.J. Walker. Just pull that thing out. Looked like a knuckleball.
And you can see the frustration on the face of Walker. Really a 4-on-1, and they turn it over.
Looked like a sleight of hand play. Now you see it, now you don't.
What do you want to hear from your coach to keep your guys calm in a huddle in this kind of a situation?
I mean, keep control of the ball. They don't need to score another point. You know, there was no reason there to take that. You know, you had a couple defenders back. Just pull the thing out, make them come foul you, and make your free throws.
Now we're told they're looking at the clock to see if any extra time ran off after the ball went out of bounds. It says 46.3 right now as Cam Johnson and the rest of the Tar Heels patiently waiting for their opportunity to take the floor. Well, they added a 1/10 of a second, so now back to 46.4.
Was that a minute and a half for a 1/10 of a second? That doesn't seem like a fair trade.
Tipped out of bounds. And now Trent Forrest says have a look at it.
Please don't go look at this. Everybody saw it.
Yep. It stays with Virginia. Well, the Florida State players are adamant they want them to have a look at it.
Come on. This is ridiculous. They saw it.
You know what? I'm good with this being in the last 2 minutes, but it's almost like you should have one challenge in the last 2 minutes. Like in football where you can throw the flag and you can only use it once. Did it hit Guy, though?
I do not think it did.
Deflected there. Did it hit the forearm or the pinky of Guy?
He did touch it. He did touch it. Well, maybe from that angle. Wow. I don't know about that.
Wow.
Looked like the ball moves, though. See the rotation of the ball changes? Now, I don't know if it changes from the fact that Forrest hit it. So Forrest hits it. Now it starts rotating. Does it rotate more?
I think it changes. I think the rotation changes, but
maybe we need to bring in some astrophysicists to talk about the rotation of the Earth and how that. This is not. I'll tell you what. This is not worth it. It's just not. And I know everybody wants to get it right, but this takes forever. I mean, the air is completely out of this building. Well, and it is not. Look, it's not the officials' fault. Yep. Let's make that clear. The officials are doing exactly what the rules say to do. But the rules committee needs to start watching these games and say, we are screwing this up.
Well, what do you think about the idea that, yeah, you can look in the last 2 minutes, but each team can only get, say, one challenge in the last 2 minutes on this kind of a play?
We can do it a whole bunch of different ways, but at some point, the call's got to stand. And if it takes this long, the call stands. And hey, shocker, the call stands.
Virginia ball. .1 to go in a two-possession game.
Taking too long.
Clark trying to get it to Jerome. Good defense by Forrest. Another force by Jerome. Short. Cabingelli's got it, and he's fouled.
And Virginia unable to manufacture points. Ball went into the hands of Kihei Clark. He's just not big enough. Couldn't get a shot. And then Florida State pressing up on Kyle Guy, Ty Jerome, not letting those guys get the ball. A little surprised at the extent of the two forced shots by Ty Jerome.
1-1 for Cabingelli.
Oh, that was a huge free throw. Boy, Florida State has played, for the most part, a terrific game. They turned the ball over a little bit, yes. Have they let Virginia in it a little bit? Yes. But overall, an excellent game plan and very well executed by the Seminoles.
And it may be somewhat of an unlikely scoring leader tonight in David Nichols.
Well, David Nichols, grad transfer from Albany. And every time that he has had Kihei Clark on him, he has bullied him and gotten a shot, that time over the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. But this is where he went back down mode. Just went right after Clark, shot over him time and time again. And David Nichols, third on the Florida State team in three-point field goals made coming into this game. And he has been excellent. Very efficient, 6 of 8 from the floor, 14 points.
Florida State with 6 players who have scored between 9 and 14 points tonight.
And game to game, Dan, and we talked about this before the game began. You don't know who it's going to be. Against Virginia Tech, it's Devin Vassell. You know, he's got 14 points. He went 4 of 7 from 3. He only played 16 minutes. There are all these different options that Leonard Hamilton has. He can go at a matchup. He can go with the hot hand. Isn't it sad the way Leonard has aged over the years?
Never mind, I want to look like him when I'm 70, and he's 70 right now. I wish I'd looked as good as he did when I was 40.
No kidding. I was saying the same thing about you.
I can always count on you to have my back. Huff misses the corner 3. Nichols with a rebound and a save. And then they turn it over only to get it back. Man will slam it, and Florida State is on its way to the ACC Tournament Championship game.
What a game by Florida State.
What a big win for Leonard Hamilton and the Seminoles. The number 1 seed in the ACC is out. Still likely a number 1 seed heading into the NCAA tournament, you would think. But for Florida State, a chance to move on, play another highly ranked team tomorrow night, be it Duke or Carolina, and a chance to win a title, something they did back in 2012.
Well, a year ago tomorrow, Virginia lost on this floor to UMBC in the first round of the NCAA tournament. They are still going to go into this year's NCAA tournament as a number 1 seed. And they will have a little extra motivation going into the NCAA tournament off of a loss here to Florida State.
Just a great team effort by the Seminoles, using their depth and their length and their tenacity, playing their brand of basketball, and led almost wire to wire, defeating Virginia by 10 to advance onto the championship game tomorrow night. One of the stars for Florida State, Phil Kofer, is with Allison Williams.
Phil, congratulations. You take down the number 1 seed in this tournament in Virginia. How did your team get it done?
I think it's all fight, man. I think, we put our trust in these coaches, and I think each and every time, they made a run and we made a run. And the key thing was coming in here, taking 8 punches and be able to punch back.
Yeah, the fight down the stretch for you guys. What was being said in the huddles as you knew you were in a battle till the end?
Just play it like it's 0-0. We know that sometimes we was up by even 2 or 1, and it was back and forth. But the main thing was just keeping our composure with Virginia, because they make people lay down. So they got a great coaching staff and great players. So we just got to keep doing us.
Phil, you've been here 5 years. How does it feel to be playing in your first ACC championship game?
It's a blessing, man. Just to be able to play with my brothers, and just having these great fans out here, great coaches, be able to play with his brotherhood. It's pretty cool.
Phil, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Big time win for Phil Kofer and the Seminoles. They are on to the championship game. And here come the contestants in semifinal number 2. The Duke Blue Devils and the North Carolina Tar Heels. In a moment. 20 minutes away from the tip of the second game. Let's go to College Basketball Live Scoreboard with Reese Davis, Seth Greenberg, and Jay Williams.
All right, Dan, college basketball.